Okay, welcome everyone. We're going to get right into the stock market charts, do some technical analysis, try to figure out where things are heading. Hopefully there's some value here for you guys and you're able to make some money off of the levels that I'm pointing out. Give me a thumbs up. Let's get right into it. All right, triple Qs, that's tech sector. We like to start off with the tech sector just because of the heavy weighting that it has. It's kind of like the heavyweight of the sectors, right? So it's about a 25% weighting in the S&P 500, and that is the largest weighting in the S&P 500. The S&P 500, anybody that's new to the markets, that's really what you want to follow. That's the stock market. The Dow Jones is 30 stocks. It's just literally 30 stocks, and they throw around up big point numbers because it's, at 30,000 or whatever. So they always try to throw around that to retail. But the reality is you want to look at the S&P 500 to help you understand where the market is heading. All right, so Qs. What we've got going on that I see right now is we've got this green range. We're looking at this hourly chart here. We've got this green range, and we're just still within the range. I just don't see any change to that. Now, we did have a breakdown previously that they recovered. The low end of the range is about 311, and the upper end of the range is about 324.50. And we had a breakdown below it, and they recovered it, so that's bullish in the short term. And we've run up to the middle area of that range, and we've had a lot of reactions around this 315.70 area. That's kind of where we're at right now. You can see back here, if I look at the range, we popped it there. We opened right there. We held support right in there. So there's another gap up right to that level. We held resistance. We have several reactions. It's just an area where the market's, where the Qs is reacting at. All right, the midpoint or near the midpoint of a range is typically you get some reactions, and so that's what I got. We've got kind of this full range. We got the midpoint getting some reactions. Again, until I see a break of 311, I'm not interested in staying short or aggressively shorting until you get a break of 311. Now, for a swing trade, I think we're going lower. But that doesn't mean we can't run up to 324 first. So in the short term, we're in the middle of the range. We can run up to 324. That would be an area where I'd be looking to resistance, or potentially this gap fill, which has never been filled, back here at 330.50. All right, see that gap? We gapped down. We've been trading within this range for quite a while. So if you run up and fill that gap, that would be the next area I'd be looking to short. For a swing trade over the next weeks or months, I think we are actually going to head lower, but that doesn't mean that we can't go higher first. All right, that's all I'm trying to point out. My target for the next leg down in Qs looks to be about 286. It's this trend line right here, and that's where I think we're heading. If you look at the hourly, another thing to point out, we're in this range, but recently we've been making lower highs and lower lows. You can see if I just kind of mark it out right here, we're just, making lower highs, and lower highs. So slightly downtrending, and that might mean something, and we do obviously have lower lows as well. So in the very, very short term, you have a downtrend. You'd want to see that downtrend start to break in order to maybe anticipate a run up to 324.50 or even gap fill up here at 330. So watch that. And then on the downside, a break of that 311. To me, that's going to most likely set us up to move down to 297. Probably get a small bounce reaction there. And then break through that and head down to 286 or so. So that's what I see in the Qs as of right now. The SPY is really just hanging off all-time highs. We're just below all-time highs. Since we're so close, I suspect we're going to probably pop and make a new all-time high. If you look at the daily, the all-time high is just right there. So a new slightly high, if we make it anytime soon, is going to be a key area to potentially short the SPY. A couple things on that. You will have negative divergence, which remains. So you see the negative divergence here. Basically, just mark that out and see how it's downtrending, making lower highs on this RSI. And then also on the PPO, it's still there. There's your negative divergence. See how it's just continuing. Every time you get some sort of momentum to the upside in price, that momentum is just less than it was before. So it makes lower lows in the momentum indicators. That's signaling that momentum's drying up. So even though it's not showing up in price and you don't see it there in price, It's there in momentum telling you that price is about to drop. All right. If you wait for price to drop and then you say, hey, everything's going down, well, you've missed the boat. Usually you have to look for the signs that the price is going to drop before it actually drops. All right. So a new high, if we make a new high anytime soon, maybe this week we pop up and make a new high, it's going to be just another divergent high. And we just are continuing to extend this negative divergence, telling me we're likely going to, break down and head lower. At some point, we just need to see that breakdown prior to shorting. You can short at resistance, which is this blue line. That's objective. It's just ideally, you'd want to wait to see some sort of a breakdown candle to confirm. So again, watch for a sell signal or a breakdown candle in the SPY. I'm using the tech sector and really watching that to help me get a read on where that SPY is going to go. But the other thing I want to point out, we haven't seen selling in the SPY, and we've seen some selling in small caps. We've seen some selling in tech. We've even seen some selling in financials. The SPY has not rolled over yet. So I think there's more broad-based selling coming. And that's these negative divergences that have been building for quite some time indicate that we're going to get that broad-based selling. So I continue to see that. Nothing's changed on that front. Gold. They're selling gold again down $20 today. Gold selling off. The miners aren't selling off too bad though. It's really interesting. The metal. This is gold bullion, or you could use GLD. But basically, gold's continuing to sell off, but the miners are hanging in there, relatively well. So we'll see. This this as of right now is just continuing a downtrend, and I don't see any change necessarily coming in gold yet. I do think that we're close, but we could run down and make a new marginal low. We just don't have bullish divergence. So there's no bullish divergence in gold telling me that the trend, this downtrend is finished. But I think we are close. And the miners look different. The miners do have some bullish divergences showing up. So obviously you have to kind of separate gold from the miners. And sometimes the miners can front run the metal. So just keep an eye on that. Let's take a look at the financials. There's not a whole lot of change. Basically on the financials, we have an uptrend here on the daily chart. We have negative divergence. Right in here we had divergent highs. See the negative divergence, how it's just kind of dropping off in momentum. Here's an equal high. Equal or lower high with a higher price is negative divergence. So this little peak right here was equal to this peak, and yet it was made on higher price right up here. That's negative divergence. That tells you that a trend reversal is likely. So your trend was up, and a trend reversal is likely. And so then you break trend here, and we're just kind of bouncing along. But again, I see this as a down, a short-term or near-term downtrend, probably down to this $30 level, and nothing's really changed there. So just scrolling through these miners that I have listed, they're all either kind of flat today, or if they're down, they're still holding their support, their trend line supports. And so that's why I still see they still look bullish to me. We can just roll through these. Franco-Nevada, you can see there's your breakout above the trend line, and we're still holding there. It's actually up 1% today. So the gold's down $20. Franco-Nevada, the miners up 1%. Here's Agnico Eagle. Kind of sold off a little bit, but still holding that support around 57.80. Here's Royal Gold, up slightly. Barrick Gold, dipped below, but their buyers are there buying it up, and so it's holding support. As I just scroll through a lot of these, like here's Newmont, up slightly today. This is Yamana, down a little bit, close to the support line. It's close, It's not looking bad. This is Anglo Gold Ashanti up 5%. I don't know if they had earnings. That's a pretty big move for that one. But again, strong performance. Here's Wheaton Precious Metals holding support. They're at 37.21. I've talked about that level. Still holding that. So a lot of these, even though there's sand breakout, still holding that trend line. So a lot of the miners still look bullish. Even though gold's down, the miners are hanging in there. So I just want to kind of point out that general theme that I'm seeing. Some of these high-flying COVID stocks, these momentum stocks of 2020, still look good to the downside. Here's apps down 5% today. Again, day in and day out, we don't know what it's going to do, but if you look at the trend, and that's really what we're trying to capture, is where's this going to be in the next week or month, and the probability that I see is lower. All right. So you got the trend line right there, the upward trend line. We have negative divergence building, and then you broke trend right there. There's your break. Kickback rally. There's a second kickback rally. It keeps getting sold into. So again, it's a sell the rip stock. This is a sell the rip stock. When you rip up to resistance, sell it, and they short it or whatever. And it's done that. It's done that twice. I think we're going lower. Next target on this one, next target of support is down here at about 42, 42.60, somewhere right in there. AMD, same deal. Here's your uptrend line. Nothing's changed technically. You have an uptrend right there, clean. That's since 2016. So that's almost a 5-year uptrend. Broke trend right here. And when we broke trend, we had negative divergence that was in place. So there's your negative divergence. Here's your divergent highs that they keep popping above, making slightly new highs right up here, but each high was on less momentum. That's negative divergence. You break trend, back test, and again, we have not recovered that trend. So it doesn't mean it can't run up and back test some more, but if you're looking at this from a larger picture and not just how to make money today, but how do we capture a big part of the trend over the next weeks and months, then you got to look at the bigger picture. And right now I see a broken trend, a back test, and a continued to the downside. Next price support on this one, sitting about $59. And that comes back from these levels right there. So that still looks good. The trade desk, TTD, breaking down today. So again, the downtrend is continuing. You had an uptrend here, and you broke trend right there. When you broke trend, you had negative divergence, sideways a little bit, then it starts to downtrend, kickback rally, continuing to downtrend. Again, the trend is down in this one, and it's obvious on days when the thing's down 8%. It's not necessarily obvious when the thing's rallying, but if you take a step back and look at the bigger technicals, you'll notice that nothing really changed, and likely this is going to continue down, for in the near term at least. Tesla, again, Tesla's breaking trend. It's not super impulsive yet. There's obviously a lot of dip buyers that, love to buy this one. But again, I think those dip buyers are going to get burned, and they'll likely, bail. And that's when you're going to start to see Tesla start to impulsively sell down. But again, I still see more selling coming in. Next level of support on Tesla is about 465. I think we get down there. And at least hit the 200-day, which is sitting about 511 right now. So look for those levels. Carvana, you can see again, we broke trend in Carvana. We really broke trend here. It was a bear trap. You never know a bear trap is going to be a bear trap, right? Like, you just take a sell signal when you get it, and then if it changes and something changes, mitigate your risk. Either stop out, set your stops, or that's the key is, nobody knows where the market's going to go. So when you get a move, you can take the signal, but if it turns out to change, something changes and all of a sudden it's not doing what's expected, then, especially when shorting, you can get out of your short and get back in on the next sell signal. And that's what basically this is. So now you have another sell signal. You can see a back test. They sold it. They bounce it. They're selling it again. To me, this looks like we're breaking lower and likely heading down to, about 162, 175, somewhere right in here. So that's going to be a drop from where we're at now of about 30% to 35%. All right, so that's the move I'm looking for in Carvana. I think that trend is now in motion, and this has had negative divergence for quite some time. You can see it's just been diverging on the momentum. It's been dropping as price goes higher. It's on less and less momentum. Snap looks good for continued downside to me. I think Snap's, I really like this one to the downside. It's a very clean chart. You can see this nice clean trend right here on the daily chart. We have negative divergence. See how the momentum, see it right there? How it's just, this is a higher price, but on way less momentum. See the RSI, same thing, negative divergence. We now have a, we had a false breakdown, a little pop, and then this looks like the real deal to me. So we're breaking. Ran down, hit the first level of support at about 48.06. We're still holding that. We obviously need to see that level go. But when that level goes, I think that it's really just, it should be a pretty swift drop when that level finally goes. And we're likely going to run right down to the 200-day moving average, maybe get a little reaction off of that, and then run down to fill this gap down at 29 bucks. You can see it's selling today. So again, 48, about 48.10 is the level you really want to see go. If that goes, it's likely going to be a pretty swift drop down. Down to the gap fill is about a 40% drop, and that would be my target really for this one. And I like it. And then tan still looks good to the downside. You obviously had this big uptrend in 2020. We broke trend right here. When we broke trend, we had big negative divergence right there. Broke trend, and we've been downtrending ever since. You can see sell, little bounce, you sell, you bounce, you sell. Okay, so it's the slope of hope. It falls and gives you a little bounce. So just recognize that this is continuing to trend down. I think we're going to run down, probably hit the 200-day, maybe get a reaction there at 75. And then if we break that down to 68.30 is the next level of support. So we're just going to watch those. If we break that, then we got another level of support all the way down here at about 58.30. All right. Okay, and what I'm going to do, Apple, we can, the things are going sideways. They've been going sideways for a long time. Google sideways for weeks. Amazon's gone sideways for almost a year. The things are going nowhere. So these, when these break either up or down, that's likely going to be your next major trend. So we do want to keep an eye on those, because where these head is likely going to be where the market's going to go. Right now, they don't know which direction to go, so we have to continue to watch that. And I'm going to wrap up the video here, but I will put out, I am going to look through the comments of stocks you guys wanted me to look at in the last video. I'm going to go through that, and probably the next video I put out, I'll go through some of those just to kind of touch base on that. For anybody that's also interested, I did a live video on Saturday. I'll probably do another live session this Saturday. I typically do it around 9 o'clock Pacific, 12 o'clock Eastern. And so if you guys are interested, keep an eye out for that. Otherwise, I'll catch you guys on the next video.